I get comfortable back here. I feel like I got the better seat.
You did. Absolutely.
Did
Yeah.
Are you comfortable?
I'm absolutely comfortable.
Okay. Hey guys, welcome back. It's Terry with Nashville Fit Magazine. I always say that like you forget and I'm not wearing the shirt. Today I'm with Wirth. Wirth, what's your last name?
Campbell.
Campbell. I knew that, but I'm afraid to commit because I've got name problems.
Hey, last names are tough.
Well, you're being kind.
First names and faces.
First names are killing me too, and I think it has a lot to do with my age.
Yeah.
You
must be older than you look.
He said yes. Well, I'm excited to talk to you. Like we talked about off camera, I have known of you for a while. I've always wanted to sit down and have a chat, and now that we're here, I have brain fog. I don't know what I'm going to ask you.
Hey,
That's a joke.
I don't either.
Terrible joke. So let's get a little background. Tell me how you got into fitness. Are you from Nashville? Start there.
Sure. Yeah, I'm from Nashville, born and raised. Went to high school here, Enthusiast High School. Want me to get that phone? Unplug it. You sure? Right through.
It's probably not picking it up.
Yeah, we're good. We're close.
So let's start that again.
Yeah.
Ready? Don't.
Want me to answer?
No, we literally just plugged it in because it was unplugged, and of course, someone calls the first 5 minutes. We plug it back in.
We'll wait for it.
Yeah.
We'll go back into where you're from.
Yeah.
Yes.
There we go. From Nashville, born and raised, went to high school at Ainsworth, out in Bellevue, and then actually went to Auburn, played football there.
Nice.
That's kind of where, well, I should say high school is when I kind of fell in love with fitness. When I was in middle school, kind of into early high school, I was kind of the chubby kid. I was the chubby kid of our grade, like, T-shirts at end of the year pool parties, and just really was not, I was probably more comfortable than I should have been, but, still wore the cutoff T-shirts and whatever, but it was definitely something that I was always thinking about, and was kind of known as, the chubby kid in the friend group, but so hit a growth spurt, as those stories go. Hit a growth spurt, lost about 20 or 30 pounds when I hit that growth spurt, because at the same time I was trying to lose weight for football, and
Sure.
They just went hand in hand. So I went from about 5'10" or 11, 195 to 6'3", 165, 170. And that's where I kind of realized that I could actually build muscle.
Yeah.
Before that, I just was like, it's a waste of time. I'm the fat kid. It just really wasn't appealing. During the summers, I would go on family trips instead of stay around and work out for football, because I was like, what's the point?
Sure.
I'm not really going to play at this level. Played all my life, but I'm like, I'm not going to be a high school starter. I'm not going to hit that growth spurt. Fell in love with the gym. Refell in love with football, with, the opportunity to play at the next level. That really pushed me. Then got to Auburn, and, didn't play a ton, played special teams, but really knew that going there was either go to a small school and play a good amount, or go to a school that I'd grown up loving. And so ended up there, and once again, just kind of the fitness side, strength and conditioning side is what I really enjoyed. Obviously love game days, but it was the weight room that I really, all my fondest, other than game day, fondest memories were in the weight room, and just pick all of our trainers' brains about, they probably were sick of me being in there. I mean, I get in trouble for working calves. So I was like, hey, I am not on your clock right now. They're like, no calves in the weight room. I'm like, well, hey.
Who's the guy in there working on calves?
I know. I'm like, hey, I'm not on your clock right now. This is my own time. I'm going to hit some calves because I need to. But fast forward a little bit, got out of school and actually got into modeling some weird way, and had to, was told I need to lose all my muscle to model. So then my goal became, all right,
lean out, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So went from 215, 220 down to 180, 185. I look back, and it wasn't the right way necessarily. I just did a bunch of cardio, and
Sure.
now that I've learned over the years that I could have done it different ways, held on to some muscle, but get to that.
We all can do that, though,
right?
We all can do that. Yeah.
Get into modeling, and I'm like, all right, it's fun networking. You meet a lot of people in modeling who obviously do other things. So I knew that wasn't my end all be all. Kind of led me into working with Kristen next door on her reality show, and the space was actually our production space.
This was
when we would film.
No way.
This was an empty space, so we'd come in here while they were filming in there, and we'd have all the cameras up or all the screens up watching. And
so I didn't do my diligence.
Yeah.
And this is beneficial for the video's sake. I don't know any of this, so take me down.
Yeah.
What's production? What
TV
show? What are we talking about here?
So pretty much it was a TV show, reality show, kind of about Nashville and Kristen starting her brand, kind of brick and mortar.
Kristen
She'd been Cavallari.
Okay.
So she had been, she had her company Uncommon James, but didn't have a brick and mortar. Had been working out of, I think, an apartment or condo in LA for years, couple of years. Gotcha. So first brick and mortar is on the other side of that wall. So I was cast for that reality show, and just kind of, it was kind of a weird spot because I was like the dude, and where most of her, employees are women working at a jewelry store.
Sure.
So I was but they wanted a Nashville local on the show, and we were all, the cast were friends, so it made sense. And so I kind of helped with not the build out, but carrying boxes in, setting up the store, and
you were the muscle.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that.
Exactly. But yeah, during that time, I'd been trying to find a reason to stay in Nashville. So when that opportunity presented itself, I was like, well, I'm going to do this. We were filming out in Nashville, and I wasn't necessarily like, oh, reality show, let's do it. But I'm like, how many chances do you get to film a reality show in your hometown?
Exactly. I can count on one hand.
Yeah. So as all of that was happening, Tim McGraw, who has been a good family friend, his daughter, same age as my sister. So they played sports growing up, and him and my dad would coach t-ball, basketball, or softball, basketball together. And so I'd gotten to know him over the years. And during that time, he had partnered with a company to open a gym. Didn't really know what it all entailed, but saw the press release, reached out, said, hey, Tim, if there's anything I can do, whether it's, manage, train, anything, I'd love to get my foot in the fitness industry.
Yeah.
And once again, fast forward a little bit, he was on tour. The company he partnered with reached out to me and said, hey, Tim's on tour, but we want to get this thing going now. How do you feel about just going 50-50 on the first location? We'll let Tim, be the name and do his thing. We know what he wants, but let's get the ball rolling. So I was like, well, we're actually, using this space that's pretty much the exact size we would need right now. So they brought their team in, and we ended up in this space right next door. But that's how we found that.
So let's pause here for a moment. Sure. Because for some of that, some of your story, you're just walking through open doors. Mm-hmm. It sounds, if as you're watching this and taking notes, I'm sure it wasn't always that easy.
No, it wasn't. But so it was. I do tell people, I was very fortunate with opportunities.
Yeah, there's a lot of right place, right time.
Sure, sure.
So there's part of success that is a lot of right place, right time. Some people will call it luck, but no, it's timing.
I'm with you.
So what was the hardest part up until that, before you opened the doors to here?
Well, finding a place was hard. And working, it honestly was tough because the company Tim had partnered with and we then had partnered with was out of Minneapolis. So they didn't really necessarily know the Nashville market. So I was kind of the Nashville market guru, which I wasn't when it came to business. I knew the fitness side.
I feel like you're a guru.
I should be. It's changed so much. I used to be.
Yeah.
But I think during that time, just from me to them, from Minnesota to Nashville to, they'd send in a couple guys for a long weekend, and we'd look at spaces and, what exactly format, how are we going to be different? What's going to be this, it started with, are we going to be a 24/7 just open gym?
Sure.
Or are we going to do just classes? Oh, is there a way to combine both? So that's kind of where that started. I said, I don't love just classes, and I don't necessarily know how we would be different just being another open gym. I said, so if there's any way that we can do both, I think that that's something that will set us apart. Because at the time I had, memberships to different gyms around town, whether it was for a cycling membership, a yoga membership, a open gym membership. And so I was like, if we could combine as many that make sense. So for a while we had yoga classes, we had a yoga teacher, and up until COVID, and she moved, and we kind of paused on the yoga. But just kind of, we had that three-headed monster kind of going with the open gym where we run our personal training classes. And so going into it, we're like, all right, what space can we find that works? And that was probably the toughest, was just, one, convincing them that was something I felt Nashville needed.
Yeah.
Because they just they're like, well, we've never done that concept. They've got hundreds of gyms across the world that they had opened. I think they had 4 or 5 different concepts at the time. And so this was a brand new concept. They're like, oh, well, we were kind of thinking, maybe we would just use a concept we had, but make it like a signature Tim McGraw gym. And I was like, you can do that, but that's not, I don't necessarily want to be a part of that. It's just like a cookie cutter, slap his name on it. Let's be like another gym, but with Tim's name.
Yeah.
And I think Tim understood that too. Tim's like, I want something that correlates to how he actually trained as well. So a lot of our programming was based off of how he trains on the road. He uses barbells, but not as much as his kettlebells, his sandbags, his sleds. He puts it all in his trailer when he goes on the road. So in our classes, it's kettlebells, sandbags. Rarely we'll use a barbell, but it's, functional training like he would do, tires, sledgehammer, just
on the road, making it happen.
Exactly. Yeah. And so he was like, I'd love to make it, as much like my training style. So that's kind of how we formed that programming. And, it's transitioned over the years, more barbells, less barbells. Sometimes we'll use dumbbells. But it's great that we have the flexibility with the open gym to have the equipment to use.
You can still be plenty functional and still play with all the toys. Sure. Right? Yep. So that's awesome. So what year, give us the context, where are we at?
Sure. So this would have been 2018 when we were leading up. We wanted to open somewhere in September, October, Nashville. Obviously, we opened in January the next year. Sure. So that push, and I think around then leases were tough in Nashville too. So it was like, all right, we're just holding on to this space with a build out, but we're paying. The build out's slow. That was not something that I had really any idea about as far, I told them, I was like, I know fitness, I know Nashville, but the business side, y'all are the ones that have done the build out. Yeah. So very fortunate to have them along with that to help. But it was just tough because they brought in a contractor from out of town, which made it even a little slower. And so just different little hiccups along the way. But it was good. Got engaged in December, opened the gym in January. So it was boom, boom, just right into it.
The way that this has gone, how old are you?
I'm 31.
I feel like we just went 90 mile an hour.
Yep. That's kind of how it did go.
Yeah. It's like there was no chill here.
Yeah. It went from, I was single when we were going to start filming the show. And then right before production, I met my now wife and kind of went in saying, I'm not the single cast member anymore. Hope that's okay. Yeah. They're like, well, is it serious? I was like, yeah, I think, she's the one. So that happened. We were filming. I don't remember exactly when we started filming, but we've been filming a good bit. We filmed like our grand opening here. So it was fun. It was great to have this here when all of that was going on.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Fun to be next door and kind of have that to film and be able to look back on and actually watch it, our grand opening and our first photo shoot, and to have that documented. But it was fast. It was like, let's go, let's do this. We got to get it done. The engagement, I kind of kept telling my girlfriend at the time, wife now, I was like, I just want to get this gym going before. So I apologize that maybe it's not coming right now, but I was smoke screen and pulled it off and turned around. And like 3 weeks later, we opened the gym in January of 2019. And, a year later, get hit with COVID.
Yeah. No one saw that coming.
Right. Yeah. That is definitely that's the curveball of all curveballs.
But you're still here.
Still here. We went all virtual. We let our members rent equipment. Just kind of took all the memberships down to a lower level price, and said, hey, we would love for you to keep paying, but we're going to give you perks. We're going to go all online. We're going to have classes every single day of the week. Different trainer would go live each morning. And then, if they missed the morning workout, they could go back. And then we allowed at the beginning everybody to come in. So this place was just, other than the machines, every dumbbell, barbell, sandbag, it was all gone.
No
they
way.
Just came in. We said, be respectful in what you take.
That's pretty brilliant. Yeah.
But we, COVID guidelines at that time, it's like one in, one out. So we're sitting at the counter with our thermometer and our mask
doing
on.
The whole thing.
They're coming in, and I'm like, we just wiped down all the equipment. So we're in here spraying everything. We're like, all right, come in and grab 2 to 3 pieces and, get out. So we're like giving time slot. It's just, you look back and you're like, that was a thing. That was really a thing.
You'll tell your kids about that one day.
Yes, I absolutely will. It was nuts for everybody. But I guess that was about 2 to 3 months. I guess we were 70 or so days that we were shut.
Yeah.
And then, as they kind of started reopening, my dad has been here for a long time. I will give him the credit, kind of started voicing fitness into the mayor's ear, like, hey, this needs to move up. And, I think there was phase 1, 2, and 3, and I think fitness was 3.
Yep.
And you had like tattoo parlors and just random things that were phase 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And so my dad, once again, kind of started getting in the mayor's ear, like, hey, like, maybe it's not on your list of priorities, but like, hey, fitness is
kind of should be,
right. I'm like, hey, it's, I know you're thinking about this and this. And he's like, but when you think about it, fitness. So that was something that I was kind of proud to be a part of. With my dad is kind of helping push that as well. Like, hey, let's move these gyms up. So I remember sitting there listening to his press conference as he kind of listed the things that were on phase 1, and I guess it ended up on phase 1 or 2 close after.
It got up there, yeah.
Which was really cool to just be like, well, we obviously didn't have everything to do with that, but it was kind of cool to be a voice in his ear saying, let's push it. And I remember it hit, and it's like, all right, we got 6 days to open the doors.
Yeah.
Get all the equipment back. So that
everybody, bring your crap back.
Yeah. Right. So email went out, because I think everybody had been expecting another 30 or so days until it was going to be back. And,
we didn't really
and I was too. And then once I got moved up, I'm like, holy crap. All right, we got 6 days. Next Monday, bring your stuff back. We'll be in there on Sunday and we'll get going. But it was, we were very fortunate to have the members stick around that did, and appreciate them huge. Because with anything during that time, that was when we actually split. That's
from the only way you can survive,
Yeah, we split from our partners at the time because they were, like I said, they had hundreds of gyms across the world. And, they were like, we're just flooded right now. And and so it ended up being actually a good opportunity to just kind of say, all right, I'll take this off your plate. Don't worry about it. Pay this X amount a year and you're out. Don't worry about it. So it ended up being kind of cool that it was almost like a buyout the other way to get them out. They're like, hey, we've got way more to, like, cool. So then it became really just myself and Tim.
Yeah.
And so it kind of started taking shape when you don't really have, not necessarily corporate, but when you don't have partners, you kind of even get to put more of your vision into it. And it was less of,
it becomes more your thing.
Hey, end of day emails, sitting and like more being able to just focus on the gym and what would keep people coming around. And so it was obviously a slight, well, definite disguise, but blessing in disguise during COVID to be able to make it through and then come back with kind of new vision and kind of twist some things and tweak our programming, and which we've just continued to do since then.
Well, let's go. So I want to go over a few things, or backward over a few things. So first thing is, like, what would you tell business owners out there right now that, because I hear this a lot, like I do a lot of coaching even before I became owner of the magazine, that everybody wants a partner and an investor, but there's a lot that comes with that I don't think people know. Yeah. So let's start with the worst part of having partners.
Just the communication stuff. Like, it's just, and especially not being able to sit down every day. Maybe a partner that's in town would have been easier, but it is tough. You're getting on the phone with a group in Minnesota, and they're great. Like, I enjoyed getting to know all of them. Like, great guys, great girls, but it was tough. It was that communication where they're like, oh, well, we saw, or we just look at a number. Oh, well, we saw this many people in class. I'm like, well, that was because it was just little things throughout that you're kind of keeping them up to date with, and which rightfully so. They're like, hey, we got money in this. Let's figure out what's. But it was just always that extra kind of
slows you down a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. And you're like, all right, before this happens, let me make sure it's cool with them before we, tweak this programming, or before we change the pricing of this membership, before we change what the trainers are going to wear during classes, or before we get this flex. So it just was always that extra step.
Gotcha.
Which I think going into it, you just assume, partner, great, you got extra funds and you're in it together. But there are definite, right.
How much?
So there are.
So what's the positive? So what did you ultimately, when I say that, I want you to kind of go into, like, what did you learn the most?
The business side.
Yeah.
Like I said, going into it, I was a business administration major in school, so but you only learn so much from a textbook.
Yeah.
So I think, and obviously COVID, even more so, you had to figure out stuff. It was kind of the Wild West, whether you were getting, the PPP or whatever, and how many, and I'm like, I never thought I would have to do this or dig so deep into accounting, or I kind of
But
thought
you
that
had
would be
it,
like,
though. Yeah,
right.
you had it, which is good.
And so they were like their support through that, and like I said, just to really start like the business side, and kind of how in the grand opening, the ramp up to opening, I think I would have, obviously I know now, but going back, I'm like, okay, yeah, you just you open your doors, you're like on this day, but their timeline that they had set for us, and just
The
like
hype,
I said,
the marketing,
and it's cool. We did like the grand opening press conference with Tim here, and we show up, and I 300 people in the parking lot for the ribbon cutting. It was nuts, and I'm just like, that's cool, because that's not something I would have even known was that. They're forcing me to go to these like Nashville meetings with just different meetings where I'm like, why do I need that? Like, it's a gym, but you go and you meet people, and then like you learn about
networking, man. Yeah.
And it's and it was just those things that definitely got me out of my comfort zone, whether it was just cold calling people, hey, do you want to join a gym? Because I know personally, if someone calls me, do you want to join a gym? I'm like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
Thank you. But it was just kind of teaching different methods and ways to go about selling memberships, and knocking on doors, and just doing an old fashioned as well as mixing some of the new style in, which it really got me out of my comfort zone, and would not have been something I would have necessarily done if it was just a one man show running it. I would have just posted it on Instagram and gone the media way and said, hey, we're opening a gym.
And what you're alluding to is, and that's what I think is could be a key takeaway, depending on where you're at with listening to this or watching this video, is that structure.
Sure.
Right? I hear a lot about everybody wants the partner, but they don't think about the structure, management structure, the corporate structure, like how you operate. You can't pour gas on a fire that's scattered.
Sure.
Right? So gathering it all together and working. That sounds exactly like what you went through.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up, what would you want to tell the audience, the people watching, and if you want to go 2-part business owner, 1 part, potential client, what is something that you want to share with people watching?
I think a lot of people, this is something that I've just seen in the industry in, the last few years. I think a lot of people want to pin gyms against each other
all the time. Yeah.
And it's so wild to me. Because Nashville's a big city.
You're speaking my language. Come on.
And we've got members, and we've got class pass users. And I think when we first opened, I was like, class pass, don't need it. But but it's been great. But it's we've got members that go to 4 other gyms within a quarter-mile radius, and it's one of those things where I think a lot of people are like, oh well, we can't succeed if they're succeeding.
Right.
But the way I look at it is like, there's no way we're going to succeed if they're not succeeding.
Yes.
And so during COVID, I think a lot of people are like, oh, who just shut down? I'm like, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
I'm like, that sucks, because that's the fitness scene, and that's the industry in Nashville.
Those are our brothers, right?
And it's always, don't tell Wirth I went to a class at the Pilates. I'm like, I want you to do that.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't do that and you feel stuck to this gym or that gym, or feel like I'm looking at you differently for going to take a class here or going to Barrett, like, I don't care. Like, we're all... And I think that's something that just, whether that's business owner or just kind of full, that I just run into all the time. And I'm just like, that's just not how it should be. And I don't know how to make it.
Community over competition.
Yeah. Perfectly said. But it is. I just didn't realize that until I got in the industry that it was like that. Or a lot of people thought it was like that. Right. So I think that's just like big picture there. Business owner, I think, sounds a lot easier than it is. Once again, easier said. I mean, it just sounds like, oh, I want to be a business owner.
Yeah.
Like, I want my title to be gym owner. That sounds great.
Right.
But really looking at what comes with that, and whether it's the time commitment or the money commitment, or, it's just, there's so many different things. And being a business owner is awesome. It's badass. Like, I love meeting other business owners, and it's cool. But I think a lot of people, and maybe myself when I was 26, being like, I want to be a business owner. Like, I didn't know what a business owner was, and I'm glad I did become one, because I enjoy it now.
Sure. Put a lot of work into it.
But I think it is just, everybody wants to be one, but you maybe don't realize what's going to come with that. I want to work for myself. It's easier said than done. But it is an awesome thing if you're fortunate enough to do it. But as far as client, like, kind of goes along with how I started it. Like, we're not pinned up against any other gym. Like, would love to have people who do XYZ on the weekends to come in on Monday, and I'm not going to judge you because I saw you post at another gym on the weekend. And I think that Nashville, growing up here, we had nothing as far as gym. I mean, there were, not that I was really looking for it when I was chubby, but hey, from my knowledge, as I got older, there were no real.
It's definitely evolved, yeah.
And it's really cool to see all the gyms pop up and all the different styles of training, whether it's HIIT classes or boxing, Pilates, yoga. It's just really cool because that wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're just popping up everywhere. And once again, it just goes back to like, that's good for everybody.
Sure.
Instead of it looking at it as, shoot, another gym's coming down the road.
Yeah.
Competition. Yeah, it's competition, but it's boosts everybody.
Yeah, it comes down to the mission, right? Like all of us gyms, everybody in the fitness industry should have one combined mission, right? And that's to make Tennessee the healthiest state.
Sure.
And it's currently the bottom 4.
So
you can't possibly serve all these people.
Sure.
You know, it takes partners, and I think that's what you're saying, and I love that because that's what we're all about at Nashville Fit Magazine too. And I didn't know that prior to this interview, and that's why I like to do these interviews.
There you go.
Tell everybody how they can find you and where Trumav is, just in case they don't know.
Website, trumavfitness.com. Instagram, we've got 2. One's the corporate, the Trumav Fitness, but we're Trumav Fitness, the Gulch.
Gotcha.
So if you tag us or you look for us, that's where you're going to go. It's where you're going to be able to find all our class times, and see what a class looks like. You'll be able to go through our website there,
Cool.
Give us a call, shoot us a message. We really want to have that local gym feel.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I started, I looked at like the corporate structures and said, all right, I want us to look legit like them. And then as we've evolved, I've realized that a lot of people don't want that.
Yeah.
And I didn't necessarily want that, but I thought it's how you had to do it.
Sure.
So we're a very like family feel, shoot us a message, call it, like it's very casual. It's not book here or else you can't get into class. Like come in, talk with us, show up 30 minutes before class, you know, unless it's one of our crazy packed classes, you know, we'll get you in. But we're big on family, community, and we never want anybody, especially first timers, to come in and feel like, even after going through a whole class, like I didn't talk to anyone. It felt like they were this, or they knew I was new. We'll know you're new, and you know, people like it different ways. Some people want to be treated like a first timer, and some people like, I just, you know, my first time, but don't act like it's mine. I'm like, you got it. We won't.
Don't call me out, please.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And we'll never. That's one thing I learned early. Never call anyone out for being first timers. I know we got some first timers here today, so I'm going to run through the format, make sure everybody feels comfortable. You know, there are 2 people in the class, one person. You know, like, I know we have a couple first timers here. The members looking at the other one like,
hey, you.
But no, we love the family feel, and we have gotten more, you know, further away from maybe that buttoned up structure of like that corporate feel, just because it's how I felt it had to be done. But we've learned over the year that it's just not the case. Yeah. So
well, this has been awesome. I appreciate you making the time. I know you got a newborn.
Hey.
Guys, I hope you get a chance to come over and check out Trumav and meet Wirth, and it's been really great.
Absolutely, I enjoyed it. Thanks for reaching out.
Yeah, man. All right, guys, we'll see you on the next video.